Good evening, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm James and this is Clearwater Fishing. And today we're talking about fishing specialties live sonar mounts. So whether or not you have Mega Live imaging, Livescope like me, or Active Target, they have an option for you. And they also have multiple options depending on the boat you have as well. So I want to talk about the advantages of having a live sonar system separate of your trolling motor. And then we're going to get into the options and the features of the fishing specialties mount. So the very first advantage of having a mount that is separate of your trolling motor deals with spot lock on your trolling motor. So if you're a spot fisherman, whether you're fishing brush piles for crappie, or you're fishing in a certain spot over some rock, or however you like to fish, if you use spot lock a lot and want to use live sonar at the same time, you really need to have your system separated, because your spot lock system, as you may already know, will turn randomly throughout your entire spot locking. So you're not going to be able to focus on a brush pile or a tree, a lay down, a pile of rocks without having the trolling motor turn a whole lot. So having this separate, you'll still have some movement of the boat, but overall it'll be fine adjustments. Okay, I need to move it this far. Not a big deal. Or I need to move it back because the wind shifted a little bit. However that looks, it's minor adjustments during a cast or after a cast, and you can keep an eye on your bait, the fish, the laydown, or whatever you're fishing. Keep an eye on it real easily and not have to fight your trolling motor. The second real clear advantage to me is as you're traveling down a bank. You're fishing a bank, you're casting toward a bank, not really necessarily parallel, but maybe at 45-degree angles. Coming down a bank, you're going to turn your live sonar unit like this, look ahead where you're heading, where you're about to cast, kind of see what's ahead. Make sure there's not any major snags, make sure you're making a good cast, make sure there's not something interesting there you want to target. And you can continue traveling down the bank while your trolling motor is aimed forward. You can still do this with your live sonar mounted onto your trolling motor. You're just going to have to turn it every time toward the bank a little bit so you can keep an eye on what's between you and the bank. I want to point out that the fishing specialties mount works whether you want to use forward view, you want to use down view, or you want to use perspective mode. It works for all three. You just have to mount it appropriately for whichever unit you have. So before we move on to features, there are a couple of things I want to hit on here. First of all, I am not sponsored by Fishing Specialties. I just want to talk about them freely because they treated me really well. They helped me find the perfect mount for me. And I've been using this one for 2.5 years now, and I am still satisfied with it. Another thing is, if you enjoy this video or you find it helpful, be sure you leave a like. It'll help me out, it'll help my channel keep growing. And while you're at it, you might as well hit the subscribe button as well, because I make all sorts of fishing related content like this, product comparisons, also do how-tos, and I do fishing vlogs. So I promise you, you're going to find something you like. So my mounting system is called a pedestal system. It mounts firmly to the deck of the boat, has this maybe 5.5 inch spacer. I can't quite remember, it's been a while. 5 to 5.5 inch spacer, and then it mounts a marine board on top of this. This marine board is attached to the spacer using 2 plastic screws. Yes, I know it has 4 holes, but the 4 holes are not to be used at the same time. You want to use 2 at a time, so in case you do hit something, the screws break and your bracket doesn't. I found that out the hard way. As you can see, I have a broken board here, which I repaired myself. I think I did a dandy job because it's been going on for about a year now. You have other options other than this mounting system. This is just one of them. You can actually have an aluminum plate up here as well. They have many different track systems for different boats as well. So be sure you check their site and find what works for you. This is what works for me, so this is what I got. right up here on top, we have this locking tab, and this keeps the pole from exiting the cup like this. So what we're going to do is keep it locked into place and it won't come out. So if you're hitting some waves or something, you don't have to worry about it coming out and then falling into the water. Now it's attached with your cable here, which really I wouldn't want to use it for that, but just to keep you from breaking your cable or something on accident, they have this nice little locking tab. While we're already right here, let's take a look at the damage I did to my marine board. The direction of impact was toward the boat this way. So it didn't have a whole lot of breakaway strength on the screws themselves, although I did have 4 in at the time. I further talked to some people and hey, you really should only have 2 in there, and maybe 2 of the screws may have broke. I don't know for sure. This marine board's pretty tough, except for when you hit it with a stump apparently, but I repaired it with this little piece of angle, some screws, and plenty of epoxy glue. As far as how this pole system attaches to the mounting plate, it's really simple. You have this cup here that this cone fits into, so a cup and a cone, and it simply just slides in there very simply and easily, and you slide the tab over to keep it from popping out. Super easy to quickly take out, super easy to put right back in place as well. So if you're on the move a lot, it's not hard. Take it out, boom, okay, we're out of the water, done. Oh, we're back to our next spot, done. It doesn't take that much time. Back when I was looking for one of these, you could buy this with or without the handle. I don't know if that's an option anymore, but I definitely recommend a handle because I have my handle mounted in a way that it points in the same direction as the transducer, so I can keep an eye out for where I am pointing my transducer just by quickly glancing at the handle. Also, it makes it really easy to turn, so definitely recommend a handle of some kind. So way down here at the bottom, you have several mounting options for your transducer. You could treat it just like a trolling motor shaft and mount it to the side of the shaft, just like most everybody else does on the side of the shaft, and you can use whatever mount you need to get in your specific modes, whether it's down, forward, or perspective. Use that mount, it'll work great. So when I was doing this, I wanted to focus on forward imaging. I didn't really care for much of the other modes. Actually, at the time, perspective mode didn't even exist. It was just forward and down. So I didn't see a whole lot of value in down. And the mount that Garmin gives you is an offset mount. I think it has, if I'm speaking incorrectly, forgive me, I think it has like 4 or 8 degrees of offset. So it aims actually kind of at an angle. So I opted to use the transom mount and make my mount like this. This keeps everything perfectly straight. So whatever I'm pointing at here is exactly what I'm going to be seeing on my unit. So the one disadvantage about having a transducer pole system is the storage of that system. For me, on a bass boat, I'm going to have to put it on my deck somewhere. And most of the time, it's going to sit here when I'm storing it. And I have these, I don't know, little straps here that wrap it around the pedestal mount, and that keeps it secured, but it's going to take up some of my deck space. The mount itself doesn't take up a whole lot, and it doesn't really bother me all that much, but when I want to store extra fishing poles on here, it kind of becomes a big deal because this guy does take up quite a bit of real estate. And that's the disadvantage versus having it already on your trolling motor. Overall, I am extremely happy with the Fishing Specialties transducer pole mount. It has literally helped me catch thousands of crappie out of brush piles while I've been spot locked. This guy has definitely proven its worth to me. It's pretty robust. Now I have damaged it, but it hasn't been damaged beyond repair. And if it does become damaged, these marine boards really aren't all that expensive to buy. So you can always order one right back up from Fishing Specialties and he'll get it right out to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. And once again, if you enjoyed the video or you learned something from it, smash that like button. But just like always, until next time, get out there and go catch you some fish.